Indigo Park is the latest installment in the genre of mascot horror and introduces us to an abandoned amusement park with mascots and tons of secrets. And after playing the game myself, I can't wait to cover some of the tinier details with you all. The game was released roughly 2 to 3 weeks ago, and with the first chapter being about an hour long, I'll be summarizing everything. So hey everybody, I'm Jeeps, and today we'll be explaining the story of Indigo Park Chapter 1. So starting off, the game begins with a cinematic replay of the opening of the park. We then see our room from the POV of our character Ed, and we learn our name from a conversation between us and our friend Laura, which you could see on the monitor shown within Ed's room. The same conversation mentioned also tells us that we are some kind of urban explorer, exploring abandoned places and recording strange events. This is followed by us pulling up to the theme park, where we begin our search to find a way into the park. After making our way into a side room area, we meet our first character named Rambly the raccoon, the digital companion and mascot of the park. He introduces us to the park, followed by explaining that we are the most recent customer within the last 2,920 days, or in other words, 8 years, which is a lot of time. And after trying to make our way through the front gate, we discover that the generator isn't supplying power to the park. But after finding some cogs, replacing some parts, and flipping a lever, the power is restored and our journey begins. After walking around for a moment, Rambly guides us to a nearby shop to get a critter cuff, a device you wear on your wrist, which after being scanned gives you entry to places around the park, similar to fast pass bands you'd wear at amusement parks. With this, we walk through the entryway, and after going through the tunnel, the entrance collapses behind us, trapping us within the park, a clear sign of the instability of the park over the time that it's been abandoned. And as we continue, Rambly tells us the park is going through some quote-unquote renovations, but from the look of the park around us, it's clear that something is being hidden. With this, we make our way onto a train ride, which introduces us to all of the mascots around the park. The mascots being Mollie Macaw, a bird pilot, a sea serpent named Finley, and a lion named Lloyd, which our dear digital companion wasn't too enthusiastic about.
Great act, Lloyd.
That lion also seemed to have a lot of pride. But just before seeing Lloyd, the ride breaks down, requiring the player to reboot the power supply to the ride. After going into the back room, we could see some animatronic versions of the mascots thrown onto the wall and trapped under some debris, which is odd but won't compare to events later in the chapter. After rebooting the ride, we make our way back, continuing on forward, and after meeting Lloyd, we are greeted with entry to the gift shop, which shows us photos from the ride we just went on, one showing a familiar bird running down the tracks. Yeah, small detail a lot of people seem to have missed while playing the game, but I for sure didn't. Yeah, I was looking in every nook and cranny, I wasn't missing anything. If I did, let me know in the comments below. Anyways, we make our way out and we find ourselves in the center of Indigo Park, between the theater, the main hall, and Jetstream Function, all places we eventually visit later in the chapter. After making our way through the desolate streets, past the ran-down buildings, we try to enter Jetstream Function, the home of Mollie Macaw, but find ourselves needing the key to enter as the place was locked. Luckily though, Rambly tells us there's a security office in the back of the theater, and after making our way back, we enter. And upon first glance, you could see a lion, most likely Lloyd, laying down in the center of the stage. But once we approach him, he wakes up and runs backstage. With nowhere else to go, our player follows the lion's tracks backstage, and a lot happens. This essentially leads us to a storage room where we see Lloyd lurking in the darkness, forcing us to make our way through old boxes and machinery, avoiding him in order to get to the security room. But on our way, of course, Lloyd jumps out of the darkness, attempting to attack us, but ends up getting trapped under a falling wooden box. Lucky for us. And after being startled, we head to the security room, grab the key, and begin to make our way back. Whilst doing so, being able to hear the sounds of Lloyd shuffling around and growling. And just before we were about to exit, he grabs us, but for some reason he's stunned by some type of high frequency device, possibly the critter cuff, but it's still unknown. I'm pretty confident it's the critter cuff, but I'm not too sure. I'm gonna have to go back and check that at some point. Anyways, after being stunned, he runs off into the darkness, in which we turn around to exit the storage room, but find a strange, familiar bird staring at us from around the corner, perhaps the same one that was following us before. Anyways, with the key, we enter Jetstream Function and make our way to Rooftop Racing, fixes, but arrive finding it completely in shambles. After Rambly tries to call for maintenance with no success, we enter Mollie's landing pad and are tasked with solving a puzzle to open the door. We are greeted with joyful music, but after opening the tube, the lights turn off and the music cuts. With this, we have to make our way through the tubes to find the correct corresponding colors and shapes in order to solve the puzzle. But as we make our way through the tubes, we find ourselves being stalked by Mollie. However, after successfully solving the puzzle and making our way through the door, you might think, hey, everything's safe. You couldn't be more wrong. As we turn the corner, a metal door is seen blocking our escape, and as we approach the metal door, Mollie claws it open and a chase sequence begins. Mollie chases us through the claustrophobic twisting tubes of the landing pad until we find ourselves ending up in the vents, eventually leading to a corridor with a staff room at the end of it. When I say this chase sequence felt like it was forever, I mean it. This thing must have lasted at least 1 to 2 minutes. Whenever you thought it was about to end, they just kept going. It was crazy. Anyways, Rambly tells us to enter, and just as Mollie is about to attack us, the door shuts, killing her in the process. And after processing what just happened, Rambly finally lets us know the truth about the park, how people stopped showing up, and how the mascots changed for some reason, but provides us with a choice to help fix the park, in which we agree in doing so for some odd reason, which I still don't know why. Anyways, after speaking with Rambly and exiting the staff safe room, we find ourselves in a security office showing all live feeds from the cameras around the park. And after making our way through a closed off section of the park, we enter Oceanic Odyssey, Finley the Sea Serpent's location within the park, where we then see him once, or at least a version of him, right before the chapter closes. And I'll say this on a personal note, I love this game. The depth of emotion within the characters, the mystery behind the mascots, and the story surrounding the park, the music at the end of the game, everything was fantastic. And without a doubt, and a lot of confidence, this game has a lot of potential. And if they succeed with future chapters, I can't wait to see what will come from it. Anyways, that was the story of Indigo Park Explained, and let me know what you thought about this video, as this is a change in the regular Poppy Playtime content, and what you would like to see in the future as well. Anyways, I'm Jeeps, consider subscribing as always, and I'll see you in the next video. Psst, if you enjoyed this video, click on this one right here.